And the next one is a solo talk by Chris Taylor of Kanoogi. Browser gaming is the future. Come on up, Chris.
All right. It's been like 5 years since I did any public speaking, so I apologize in advance for any crazy shit that happens in the next hour or so. I know or 20 minutes. Yeah, I was just to see if you were listening. See how I did that? It's amazing. Okay, some of you don't know who I am, and that's actually probably a good thing. Basically, I've been making games now for 35 years, which is really strange to have those words literally come out of my mouth. I basically have been doing a lot of work for, since like 2009, 2010 on web. I never liked the browser. I thought it was really weak, and I was like a hardcore PC game developer. But I mean, I just fell in love with what you can do on the web. But of course, my company, Gas Powered Games, we made hardcore PC games. This next slide actually is some of the games that some of you may remember from the olden days. Okay, some of you actually may have played these games. This goes all the way back to like 1989, okay? And then I think that shipped in 91 or 92, Total Annihilation, 97, Dungeon Siege 2002, Supreme Commander 2006. And then there's this like, what have you done for me lately gap? But I did sell my company to Wargaming, and we were working on a big Wargaming title. That's what happens when you sell your company. Crazy things happen. And it's not like the old days. So actually I feel for a lot of folks here, in the gaming business overall, that the business has really, it's gotten so competitive and it's gotten so complicated that I really feel sort of lucky that I got these golden years of game development in before things got nuts. But that's not very inspiring, is it, to say that? Like, holy shit, you've really got it rough. Sorry about that. But anyways, I want to do something fun. So I want to do something kind of weird. Hopefully this has never happened to you before. I always ask this question. How many of you hate voting with your hand? How many really find that annoying as hell? Yeah, me too, okay? Okay, thank you. Thank you for loosening you guys up to this afternoon. You'll be walking home later like, what happened? So the real fun vote is, how many of you just think that browser gaming sucks? Okay, like you're just dead against it. Okay, we got a couple of people here, 2, 3. So really, that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for I wanted a lot of people that thought it really sucked. Because then at the end, I'm going to ask you to vote again, and I'm going to see if I got some converts. So I've only got like 5 people over here that I have to convert to the church of web browser gaming. So not a big loot haul if I pull that off. But the bar's low, so there's that. All right, okay. So let's go to the next slide. So you guys know that when Netscape released Netscape Navigator, that was almost 30 years ago, right? That's kind of amazing. It was just this shitty thing that, transformed the world we live in, where you could look at stuff on the internet. Data would be visualized, right? Like a terminal with graphics. And I don't think a single person said, oh my God, this is going to turn into a virtual operating system and get really exciting and interesting. Nobody said that. And nobody said that. I don't even think Tim and the gang at Netscape said that. I mean, do you guys know that Tim invented the World Wide Web off the side of his desk while he worked at CERN? Do you guys realize that? That's crazy to me. God, I hope I got that right too. You can Google it. Or you can chat GPT it now. But when you get an answer, you're not quite sure, so you want to go to Bard and double check. Hey, whoever's flipping the slides, who's flipping the slides? They're right on. You're right. You guys are right on the, God, I'm going to take you home. Oh, there's a clicker. Oh, no, I like this. This is like you're in my head. Okay. So, all right, okay, let's get serious. So you guys know there's 6.8 billion smartphones. Like when I pulled that number up like 3 years ago, it was like, I don't know, it was like 2.4 or 2.8. I mean, this is crazy. It's like almost everyone on the earth is going to have a smartphone except for people who don't have electricity and internet. But except for it's turning out that group's getting smaller too. But so like if you're building something in a web browser, you can run it on all those phones. And if you can't run it today, well, then 5 years from now, you certainly will. See, the whole point of what I'm talking about here today is the fact that forget about what's happening today. Where will this all be in 5 years? Where will it be in 10 years? We already burned through 30 and we saw a lot of change. So I'm telling you, like, when I look at I started with 16K. Okay, on my TRS-80 in 1980. If you had told me that, I'd be browsing my new MacBook Pro and going, well, how much for 96 gigs of RAM? Okay, because I'm capable of transporting myself back to 1980 and going, holy shit, I had 16K and I didn't even use it all up, actually. I upgraded before I needed it. So now I'm looking at 96 gig. So really, how many gigs will my MacBook have in 10 years? You can make up any number you want. 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes. It'll be some cool base 2 number. Somebody know? Somebody raise their hand. I know the answer. Oh, good. So we have almost 2 billion PC gamers. I pulled up some numbers, 1.7, 1.8 PC gamers, billion. There's tablets, there's televisions, and there's smart. I have a smart fridge. I have a Samsung family smart fridge. I built a game in the browser at the company I work at just for fun. It was a fun project. Ran it on my refrigerator, took a picture, sent it on Slack to everybody, and they're like, holy shit, that's cool. I got to get a refrigerator like that. Okay? That was like the takeaway message. How much was that? I'm like, it's only $500 more than a regular refrigerator. But think about it. Everything will have a chipset that has a screen because it's commoditized. It's a race to the bottom, right? These things are going to be like so cheap. It's like an extra $10. Your toaster, you can, watch videos while you're waiting for your toast. Okay. The good news for all of us that are on the believers side, right? Your game can be played, or you can get status updates or whatever you're into, right? So really the potential of web is unlimited. You guys all know somebody who's releasing their game on the PC and they are like, well, Mac, we don't know about Mac yet, and Linux, maybe we'll do Linux before Mac, and you're like, oh, but for the web guys, they're like, well, we're everywhere already. We just have a bunch of edge cases that are a pain in the ass. So, I want to talk about why I don't like, I think I had a name like things I don't like. I don't like paying somebody 30% royalty, okay? So, you see you're coming over to my side now, right? You don't want to pay anybody 30%. Yeah, that's a really good point. You don't like censorship, right? Big Brother, 1984, you don't want that either, right? When I launch stuff on the web, I do whatever the hell I like, right? Except I got to take care of privacy. PII, that's really important. But other than that, I go crazy, I go nuts. Slow release velocity is something I can't stand, right? So I don't want to release something when the folks at the platform owners say I can release it. I want to release it whenever I want. I want to be whimsical. I want to be able to roll it back. I want to do stuff quick, okay? And of course, there's terrible discoverability now. I mean, how many thousands of games release on Steam every week? I heard a number at DICE. I was at DICE. I forget what the number was. The number was huge, like ridiculous, like thousands of games a week. If your son or daughter is making a game in the basement and they're like, this is going to be the next Valheim, you're just like, oh. Because you know that they're probably not going to pull it off because it's a lotto. But when you can create something in a web browser and you can be at school with your friends and you can say, hey, check out this game I made, you have a shot at creating some virality right there on the spot with your social network and everything else. And you don't care what kind of hardware they're running. The browser has become an abstracted virtual operating system with true power, okay, with true power. I'm going to talk about some of the pitfalls, obviously, because I'm just, I can't just stand up here and talk about all the good stuff. So we have some issues that we have to deal with on the browser, right? We have a security, not a security for the customer. They get all kinds of security. That's why they love that sandbox, right? Because you're not going to be able to get into their file system. You ever install an app on your Mac and it says, do you trust this source or this developer? How the hell do I know if I trust them? I don't even know them. Sure, I trust Apple or I trust Microsoft or I trust some big company, but I really don't know beyond that if I really trust them. And what if the people that work there got something snuck in there? So you can really never trust anybody, right, if you're installing a native app on your machine. But when you're in a browser, you sleep at night pretty well. Sure, there's security vulnerabilities, but you actually feel pretty comfortable running some crazy stuff in your browser. But security was a problem for the developer who made the game. You made a really cool web game, let's say someone could just rip it off, right? Because they could bust open the console, grab the JavaScript, and they could take your source, prettify it, and boom. And that was a problem. And it is solvable now because we have the cloud. Now, in the cloud, like the public cloud, like AWS, Azure, GCP. We had a problem with performance. When Brendan Eich invented JavaScript, almost like a joke, I think he did it in like a couple of weeks, and he took the name Java and got into that big JavaScript problem. He probably was just like, I'm just making something powerful, but it doesn't have to be performant. Well, that problem has been fixed. It got to the point where it was fixed really, really well, but then WebAssembly came along, and talk about completely fix it, okay? WebAssembly is so fast and so powerful and so performant that if you're creating a game in C# or in Java or WebAssembly, it is going to run at the same or more performant speeds, okay? So that speed problem is gone. And you have this tech, right? We talked about WebAssembly. WebGPU in Chrome 113. How many of you are like, we're eagerly waiting, WebGPU? Anybody? Oh, not a single person. That's weird. Okay, well, WebGPU is freaking awesome. They took the best from DirectX, Vulkan, got a bunch of other, and this WebGPU is incredibly powerful, and it can do all the things. Okay, so if you're into all the things that you can do with graphics in your games, WebGPU is going to do it. Now, that was really just hot air when it hadn't shipped, right? But it's shipped, and it's coming to all the other major players. Luckily, there's only 4 or 5 of them. Microsoft Edge runs all the Chrome tech. Opera runs the Chrome tech. And Mozilla is right in there, and of course Apple. So you've really got this competition to keep up, and Google has done a miraculous job of leading. But they're all compatible now, right? Remember when you had to have a polyfill to run on all the different, and you're just like, holy cow, and you gave up performance for that benefit. Well, now that is over. Those days are done. Web audio doesn't seem to be important to a lot of people, but it is pretty damn awesome, and it fills in sort of the trifecta of cool technology. Okay, the next slide are the headaches that are gone. I kind of talked about that already. The browsers are really highly compatible now, so your dev team doesn't have to spend all this time developing across all these different browsers. The dev tools, I mean, come on, have you been inside of Chrome's dev tools suite? Oh my God, if I had that in 1988. That would have been amazing, okay? The tech is so good. Everything is so good about it. It's just like, I actually have to take time out to have a little cry, okay? Like, this is so freaking amazing. This is unbelievable. And they're always advancing everything. And I'm like, whoa, who are these people? So, and the standards are open, so you don't have anyone creating a monopoly situation. The monopoly thing went away. Thank you to Google for that. I'm not a total Google fanboy, but I kind of am in this particular context because of what Google did for us in the browser. And they had the insight to realize it was going to become a virtual operating system, obviously. They pushed that, okay, to make that happen. So I really, really do appreciate that. Moving pretty quick here. So you got something that's incredibly accessible, it's performant. You can build something that's really viral. I mean, hey, we've all got a friend who says, oh, you got to download this game. You got an iPhone? You got to download this game, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, yeah, sure, because I'm busy. But when you can just push a link and boom, you're in a game just like that, and it's an awesome game, right? That's kind of hard to resist. The friction goes so low, so the virality is high. And that is awesome. The attention spans seem to be getting shorter and shorter. Like, I didn't think attention spans could really go any lower. Okay, like they're just, it's like approaching zero at 17 decimal places. Okay, elephant rescues boy from raging river. Okay, yeah, I get it. It's not loading. Screw it. And I gave it 2 seconds to load. Come on, I just made that up. That's what happens. I blame Canada. The Did I miss one on the end of that? Oh, the development cost. We talked about that. We talked about how you can just cut your development cost and be on all these platforms. I mean, come on. It's getting to be so good now. I can't believe that, like, when you look at an EA or any of the other big players, that they're not aggressively investing in this space and building games in this space. Now, maybe they have, and I'm not paying attention. So if you guys know any different, let me know. More benefits, right? You don't have to apply patches and updates because they happen transparently. If you're in Miro or Lucidchart or in one of the other productivity apps online, right, which are pretty heavy, sophisticated apps, these things cost. They're already there. Okay, I'm playing the part tonight or this afternoon as Captain Obvious. Okay, yes, Captain Obvious. The browser is powerful, and if I were to run a productivity app and someone were to say, you have to install this on your machine, we have a native app for Windows or Mac, I'd say, why? Why? My productivity apps are way better in a browser. Way better. I will never go back. No, none of us will. Okay, so the future is absolutely productivity apps. So of course, if you just keep extrapolating on a line, it'll be, small footprint games, medium footprint games, gigantic games. And we can talk about footprints and egress costs as well, because those are all things that become an issue. You have portability. I'm on my phone, I whip to my laptop, I go to my tablet, I'm on my refrigerator. I can go anywhere. I have to get the native app for my refrigerator. Okay? Like, what? That's awesome. If I'm at my desktop and I want to throw open 3 windows and I just went and bought I got my TV, I threw my TV on my desk because my TV was pretty good. And suddenly I've got this giant screen and I can just throw some stuff on that screen from the game I'm playing because, it's a web thing. So I can just, boom, open another window, right? Where developers, like we were at Gaspard Games, how much time have I got left? Oh, it's right there. I have 1.5 minutes. Holy shit. We had to write complicated extra technology for multi-mon support. Any Supreme Commander fans who were like, multi-mon, yeah, right? Huh? It was like, come on, that was complicated. Well, with web, it's not even anything, right? And your multiplayer is just insanely easy because you're building everything off the cloud. So you have an authoritative model running in the cloud, and you just don't have any problems whatsoever with multiplayer, in my opinion, having been part of so many different multiplayer coding experiences, with synchronous and asynchronous and all of that. Hold on, my son is calling. I'll just hang that up. Come on. Imagine if I took that. That'd be weird. You'd be talking about it for minutes. Okay, let's vote again now. The guys who raised their hand who said that they think web gaming sucks, do you still think web gaming sucks? Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so you guys are too embarrassed. You're like, oh, I don't think so. I don't have anything to do with this. I know you are. So that's it. That's it. And we have 23 seconds. Perfect. So,
Great.
Yeah, I mean, how does that even happen? I know you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know you too. I've been designing games since 1970, so I do.
Oh, you got me beat.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So I've got a game which is, the idea is that the non-premium version would be free on the web, and then I want to put it in the App Store as a premium version. And I want to take the code that I have and just sort of keep it the same, but somehow make it into an app. Is that taking care of that for me, or do I have to do it the hard way?
Well, everything you got to do yourself. I mean, I'm here I'm here to remind everyone that the browser has become this incredibly powerful virtual operating system. That's the whole thing. It's not only great for gaming, it's great for every piece of software written, okay? But when it comes to the actual software development strategy that you're implementing at your game company, and you get your game out there on web and it's got a lot of potential, so you decide to hire some folks in a country that have become experts at low-cost development conversion of something to iOS or Android, well, absolutely. I mean, sure. Why not? You can do it, but that's going to cost you, and you have to have that roadmap. So what's great about web is it doesn't close the door on anything else, and you use your same back end, right? You're going to use your same back end cloud solution. I went off into enterprise cloud for 3 years, okay? I've been on this thing. If you go to my website, kanoogi.com, I pour out my heart and soul. It's really sad because I'm too honest. And I will tell you that I went off to do Enterprise Cloud through COVID, and then I kind of got really into it. And it's like, Enterprise Cloud is freaking amazing and awesome. And if you're a game developer and you're an engineer, go do a Cloud Guru, spend $45, burn through the architecture course. You can thank me later, because this is just going to make your brain go, what? Okay, this is amazing. How it's going to influence your engineering skill set as a game engineer. Okay, sorry, I had to throw that in there. I don't get kickbacks. Another question? All right.
Yeah, I've kind of got 2 questions. So the first one is, are there any browser games that you recommend currently?
Have been. That's a really good question. It's funny because some of the ones that were really good, like Slither, was so simple and so addictive. I was like, what? And those guys, I think the revenue numbers were in the tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like a breakout example hit. And you get what's it called? Zombio? I can't remember. Do you remember the name of that? And that's a pretty sophisticated game. I think it's actually developed here in Seattle. Does anybody know those guys? That's a pretty damn good game. What I'm looking for, right, is to see something where a big publisher has put some money into it and they can really show what the platform can do. But really, waiting for that is not likely. So I'm building my own platform, Kanoogi, and I realize that I'm a niche game designer. So if I build out my intergalactic space empire, and I was tempted to show you guys like a first look at it, and then I chickened out for good reason, really. Which is, I realized I'm not going to sell much of this. This isn't going to be that successful. So early on, I realized it's really about the platform. And then when they asked me to speak, I was like, I've got to just do a mind dump here and share with you all of the stuff that I've learned and accumulated and bring it top of mind so that you understand the potential of this platform. But until like WebGL like 5 years ago wasn't even at 100% penetration, right? And now we've got WebGPU, and it's going to take a while. So we are literally at the bottom of the hockey stick. I predict, and you can hold me to this, that we're going to see the hockey stick from here, and you guys are here to hear it from me and get a bit of an edge.
Sure. And my other question was, we have a lot of indie devs here who are fantastic and made amazing games, but not really browser supported. But how has cloud hosting become useful in that regard? And is it easy to have all these games be hosted on the web, even if they're not built for the web?
Such a good question, because when you take one step into enterprise cloud, you can be really thrown back across the room because of the complexity. And you have to really swallow the whole thing. You have to start to understand when you're standing up servers at different costs, and you have to understand egress, which I apologize I didn't get a chance to talk about. Okay, egress is like you're going to live or die based on how much data you're continually sending out of your data center. In other words, you're going to make all this revenue from your customers, and you're going to hand it all to the cloud provider. So that doesn't do you much good, right? So when I can tell you that as if I was a game developer trying to focus on gameplay systems and my logic and my emotional content and my story and my characters, and I had to go out and hire an enterprise cloud architect to build out the back end, it's just like, no, it's too much. It's too much. So there's a huge opportunity for companies to provide a turnkey solution, and there have been, but I don't think they're there yet. And that's where I come in with Kanoogi. I'm like, I know what a game developer wants. They need a clean API, and they need a way to just know that this thing is going to scale up instances, gaming instances on the back end, and then they're going to shut those down, and we're not going to burn a lot of compute on the back end. It's a money game when you're in the enterprise cloud space, as many of you know. So yeah, hope that helped.
I think we're going to have to leave it there because our panel are all here. So a round of applause for Chris Taylor. Incredible. Thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate it. Chris has been supporting PGC Seattle since we started in 2019, I think. So thanks for coming again.